So to start with, I have the anemone cutters. What I'm going to do will be a fantasy flower because I'm not going to follow the anemone's techniques. But I'm just going to show you how to um, condition the petals to the size of the petals and how to tape them together to make a really nice paper flower that really goes with any kind of cake that you want to make. So here, right here, I have two sizes of the cutters of antimony. I'm just going to first use one, and this is the wafer paper, and you can see the thickness of the wafer paper. This is the wafer paper that is used for uh, the flowers. The thicker one, which would be ideal for using for printing, is not the one. For edible printing is not the one that you can use for the flowers. One side of the paper paper you can see there are textures, and the other side is quite smooth. And it is okay to use either of the sides when you're doing the flowers. But then you have to make sure that all the petals have the same side. Maybe if it is the top of the flower, then all the top of the flower should have either the smooth side or the rough side. So now I have the cutter here. What I'm going to use is a pencil and hold the petal on one edge, go in and use a pencil to very gently mark an outline. Okay, and now I'm going to use the scissors. I'm just going to cut this entire uh, strip to the size of the petal that I have just drawn as an outline. So depending on how many petals I will need, then I will know how many strips I should be cutting. So now again I'm cutting just a little bit of an extra space all around this petal, and this is the size of the um, wafer paper that I will need. Now I'm going to use this size as a guideline to go on and cut more such rectangular or square pieces of the wafer paper. So that's the guideline of the size of the wafer paper that I would want. And let me see if this is going to be enough for this petal, but it is just quite short, so I cannot be using this, so I will just leave it aside for that. I can use it for some other purpose. Now let me keep the one with the outline on the top and align the wafer paper that I have cut, and I'm going to use the scissors and go around right on the outline. Just put aside the extra bits, but don't throw them away. You could use the extra bits of paper paper for a lot of other purposes. You could also make wafer paper glue. If you don't have any other idea at the moment to use the bits of paper paper, you could just soak these bits in water and then make paper paper glue. So now I have the petals cut. Okay, so I need 5 of the small size, and then using the big cutter also, I will have to go ahead and then mark around on this paper paper and cut out 5 of the small size petals and 5 of the big size petals. To show on the video, I'm going to use one of the small size to show you how to wire the petal, soften it up, and then how to shape. Once the shape gets dried, and then we will also see how to tape the petals together. So now I'm going to put the wafer paper and the petals aside, keeping 2 here, and now with the extra bit of the wafer paper, I also need a rectangular strip, a thin strip, which will be used to cover the wire that will be attached. So this is what I will need to start wiring the petal, as I'm also going to condition the petal to make it also soft. So to wire the petal, I need this foam pad, the petal and the strip of wafer paper, a 24 gauge wire, the portion that's filled in the spray bottle, a bowl of corn flour and a brush that I want to dust. Now to begin with, I'm going to pick up the wafer paper petal and hold it a little far away from this spray bottle and spray the portion twice on either side and dust the foam pad with corn flour. Before the petal gets too soft, place the petal on the foam pad and use the wire and place it on the lower bottom edge of the petal, and this strip that is cut, place it exactly on top of the wire and use your fingers to gently stick the strip onto the petal, and by this time the wafer petal would be really getting soft. Now use the corn flour on this brush and go dab on the petal, and that is going to make the petal soft, yet it is not going to be too soft. Now put it upside down and again dust the corn flour on the back side as well and dust off excess from this brush. Take the petal away from the bed of corn flour, put it in a place where the bottom is free of the corn flour and brush off the excess corn flour. Put it on the other side. It is going to be quite soft to start with, but then it is going to dry up. What you need to do is brush off the excess. Now the petal is quite soft. You can still handle, and the shape is what we need to put this in a flower or petal shaper. What I have is this sponge, and this is the flower petal shaper for flowers. You can also use this for sugar flowers using gum paste, or for paper paper also. This is quite used. Now I am going to take this petal and with the sausage side down, I am going to place it in one of the cavity and press it using my fingers and make sure the wire doesn't poke to the petal. And now if this is not going to stay in place, just make sure this wire can be bent and allow some support on that side of the wire. So the petal's shape has to be in place. This petal you should put in your finger and then make sure the cup shape is formed properly, and if this wire is longer and if it wouldn't allow you to do that, then bend this and allow the petal to take the shape. Now I will continue doing this for 5 of the small size petal and then 5 big size petal, after which I'll get back and show you how to tape all the petals together and complete making the wafer paper flower. So I have the petals ready. Now it's all dried. You can see how the shape is nicely cupped. The smaller sized ones are also done, and the bigger ones are also nicely cupped, and that you can see. Now I'm going to begin taping. To start with taping, I need the floral tape. I'm just going to cut it to the desired length, and as when needed, I could attach more. Now I'm going to start with the smaller sized petals. All 5 together will be in one layer, and then I will start adding in the bigger petals. Now this extra bend that was added to put the petals in shape, and the floral shaper, that foam shapers that was used, I'm going to straighten them all up. Okay, and as we are going to tape, we need to be bending the wire, which is hold it at the bottom edge of the petal and bend the wire 90 degrees down, and that you will have to do to all the petals, for taping. So it is easier, and that you can grab the petals and then tape them without having to do this to each of the petal as you are taping them. So once this bending part is done, let me start with the floral wire. The floral wire is a self-adhesive tape, so they start sticking around and hold the wires, the petals together. Only if you're going to stretch this, and as you can see, the color changes, and you can see the darker green here, and then the color lightens up. You have to keep stretching it as you tape around. Okay, so stretch the first initial part, hold the petal, and add this tape on the underside of the petal, and using the index and the thumb finger of the left hand, if your main hand is your right hand, and hold this tight, and that is going to keep the wire or the petal together. Go around and use the index and the thumb of your right hand and stretch it, pull it tight, making sure the tape has stuck to the wire as much possible. Now the second petal goes in, you are adding the petal, the wire is above the tape, and go around and one round fully, and hold this tight and then stretch this comfortably, and then the third petal goes one full round. I'm just going to create some more space because there is also going to be a fifth petal in this row. Going to go around, tape, and stretch and make it tight, and check for the extra space. Create more room for the last petal. So the first layer is done, and now I'm going to put this aside for a minute and take all the bigger petals, first straightening out the wire that was bent to hold the shape, and now again I have to bend this wire where the petal ends, and make sure this wire is placed at 90 degrees to the petal, bend this completely down, so taping will become easier as you do. Okay, now I am picking up the flower that I was doing. Now continue adding the bigger petals, tape around, getting the second petal, one full round is needed, but not necessary to add like maybe 2 or 3 rounds of the floral tape around, because that is going to thicken up the underside of the flower, which is not needed. Anything less than 1 full round is not going to keep the petals in place. So that is the last petal that I'm adding. So once I'm sure all the 5 petals are added, I mean, now if you're making another flower, or you could also make 2 layers of the first size, or then 2-3 layers of the second size, or if you have like say a peony cutter set, and then if you're going to make a bigger flower, you follow the exact same process, and you can have different kinds of flowers made with the exact same technique that I have shown, how to condition the petals, shape them out and dry them, and then tape all the petals together, and then you have a beautiful wafer paper flower where you can just adjust the position. The petals are going to be soft initially, they are going to kind of dry quite a bit, but then here you have a beautiful flower. Now if this has to go on the cake, then maybe you need more numbers of the same flower which we will be using to decorate a whipped cream cake. You can call it a wedding cake or an engagement cake, where you will be learning how to place the wafer paper flowers safely on a whipped cream cake.